We're back from the toilet break to record episode 2. It's the hurdle races. So we were talking about doing the championship races, chucking in the Ryanair, and then just for good measure, we've chucked in the mares because they deserve to be talked about, especially with the champion hurdle picture in mind. So we did 3 races in the last episode. 3 races will be in here. This will be a lot quicker because it's very straightforward. So we'll do it a little bit of a weird order. We'll do mares, champion hurdle stayers. The main reason for that is both the mares potentially could be major players in the champion hurdle if they decide to go there. But before anyone else gets excited about it, all those bits and pieces, I'll just make this early in there so people can crop this and play it back to me if they do decide to change their mind. But there is more chance in me starting to degrade in age, so I'm going to start getting younger year by year, than there is of Benny Deju ever running in a champion hurdle. She will not run over 2 miles over hurdles. Stop it. Just stop thinking it's going to happen. She could be good enough to feature, but no, it will not happen. Honeysuckle, on the other hand, they did talk about the fact they were leaning more towards the mare. It is more her trip, all those bits and pieces, but Benny Deju's better than Honeysuckle. Honeysuckle would have probably a slightly easier race in the champion hurdle in terms of the calibre she's going up against, although it would be deeper. The mares would just be Benny. Everything else she'll squash. Whereas the champion hurdle, there'll be a handful of horses that might be there or thereabouts of her. So I think the connections might and ah about it, but I do expect both of them to run in the mares. Truth be told, I think what's the point in taking the risk, going to a champion hurdle, getting beat and thinking, what if I'd have run in the mares? So I think they both will line up. Market has got it bang on with it. Benny Deju should be odds on. Benny Deju should be winning this. Honeysuckle is a genuine danger and the only danger as far as I'm concerned. Stormy Island, we've touched on her a few times this season that she's a grade 2, grade 3 mare. She's been mopping up in those races again. She would be best of the rest. But Daryl, please tell me you don't think or you haven't thought at any point that Benny Deju is going to go for a champion hurdle.
Absolutely not. No chance in hell. People are comparing her to Annie Powers simply because she's a bloody mare. That's it. Benny Deju's been over fences. She's not quick enough for a champion hurdle. She's not the greatest we've ever seen. Like, she can't afford even a weak champion hurdle. She will get outpaced over 2 miles. 2.5 and 3 miles of her trip. She's definitely not going to be coming back downwards. Richie it was just after the race, just getting over it. Sorry, I think just mentioned it. So ignore it. Benny Deju will have to be supplemented as well for the champion hurdle. It ain't going to happen. It costs 225 grand, I think it is.
No, 20, I think it's 22 and a half. You moved an apostrophe.
Why did I say 200? That'd be a lot, wouldn't it?
That would be a lot. But yeah, it is. It's 22,500, I think. It's at the 6-day declaration stage. But obviously, Silas Emery, Ruby Walsh mentioned that it was a confidence booster after falling, why they put him back over hurdles. Willie Mullins said, we'll see how he gets on and we might talk about supplementing him. Now, if Willie Mullins is looking at a chaser that he thought was going to be a champion chaser and he's considering putting him in a champion hurdle, it just goes to show that he's got no intention in the world of putting Benny Deju in there. So it's balmy. And again, for the price that it would cost to put her in there, she'll just win the mares. It's just not, you'd be stupid to pay for the wrong trip. And especially after she won the French champion hurdle when she beat de Boncoeur, Racing Blogger was over there doing his decent coverage of the French racing. He said to Willie Mullins after, and I laughed at the time and thought, you're an absolute penis for saying this, but he said to Willie Mullins, she could win a Gold Cup, could she? And then I was thinking, mate, come on, she's not going to win a Gold Cup. Then I actually started thinking, she jumps well enough, pick her back over fences, and she stays. So as much as it's not going to happen, I think she'd be more likely to go and run it, supplement her for a Gold Cup than he would do for Champion Hurdle. That's the sort of class we're talking about. And obviously, after she won the 3-mile race, everyone was saying she'll beat Paisley Park, stick her in the stayers. It's just mental, isn't it, that from one week to the next, a few people will start banging on about it. And I know Richie lit the fire by mentioning the comment, but you're talking about she's going to win the mares. Then you're saying, oh, no, she'll go and beat Paisley. And now we're saying, actually, it's a crap Champion Hurdle, stick her in there. We're all in agreement that she's very, very good. She would have a chance in any 3 of those races, which is why, for me, she will just absolutely hack up in the mares. Honeysuckle is decent, don't get me wrong, and does worry me, but Benny wins it, didn't she?
Yeah, I don't understand what people don't really understand how fine of margins it is in horse racing. Like dropping back 4.5 furlongs is a huge difference. The whole race is one different. You know what I mean? Stepping up in trip is completely different. These things, horses are only ever a master at one thing. Do you know what I mean? They're not a jack of all trades. They're a master at one trade, and you have to be prepared to find that perfect trip for that horse. Bennings is this trip for the mares. He's going to hack up here. Honeysuckle's still open to improvement, so if she does come here, I would be quite interested to see it. But you can really pick apart her form in the Hanks race. Look, she's obviously very good. She's obviously got time on her side. She's only 6, Benny's 9. Got a lot to come. Yet to see her at Cheltenham. I think it'll probably suit her. But yeah, I'd rather side with Belly Desjeux. I think Stormy Island will be in the 3. I think it's very difficult. I think the market has got it exactly how it should be. You're not going to be making much money now back in Stormy Island each way at 8-1, but it's a solid enough bet. You're going to hope one of the front 2 in the market falter for any win place, for any win money on that. Yeah. The rest, I just simply don't think they're good enough. I think Lady Buttons was lucky to win at Doncaster last time. I don't think she's as good as everyone makes out. I know she's loved by everybody, but Lorena's, what's happened to her? Apple's Jade gone at the game. Roxana just ain't good enough. And then you're down to the likes of Magic Light, who was second in the Grand National, like who was improved for fences and over 3 miles. She ain't going to be running this trip. There's nothing else really in here at all, and you'd be disappointed if the likes of Silver Forever was winning this race. Absolutely. So she looks an absolute. Well, without if Honeysuckle did go to Champion Hurdle, she looks a bloody good thing, and you'd have what you like on her. But it'd be interesting. I hope they both go here because it'd be a great race.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Honeysuckle will really add anything to the Champion Hurdle, whereas she would add something to this race. If you make, you know what I mean?
It's like that's definitely like a nice little line in for it, but I do think Honeysuckle would add something to the Champion Hurdle personally. Like you can never be scared of one horse, which is why she probably will end up in the mares. She'll go up against Benny. It will be. I think it'll be one of the best races of the festival, given the fact that it's like a bit of a match. As long as they both get round, it could be mouth watering, all those bits and pieces. But I feel like I think it's the right place for Honeysuckle to go. But I just look at the Champion Hurdle picture, and the more and more I look at it, I just think they probably could get away with sticking her there. I know she's young enough that maybe get the Cheltenham experience, all that sort of stuff. But I still think there's a chance that they might go that way. They're not saying they will. In my head, it would be 60-40 that she'd go mares than come in, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. You know, we touched on in the previous video we were talking about the chases where I said that Alshaw at the start of the season was 5-1 for the champion chase. Benny Desjeux was 5-1 for the mares hurdle at the start of the season, and it's another one of them that when you actually think about it, that the only other place you might have gone was the stairs, which wasn't going to happen. But 5-1, I know it's a long range anti-post bet, but it was just way too big a price. And even sort of the beginning of the start of the season, you could still get 5-2, 3-1 on her for the mares hurdle. So hopefully a few people have got stuck in at bigger prices. I wouldn't be confident now the price. Well, I do think she'll win. I wouldn't be confident at stealing her on any else at Cheltenham. But like we say, I do think it will be a cracking race if they do go there. But feeding into the Champion Hurdle a little bit, I do think there's still a chance of Honeysuckle coming to Champion Hurdle. Given the fact that it looks a bit of a pish renewal, and I hate saying it because it's a championship race, and after the race we'll be loving it because there will be a good performance in there. That's just a fact. Maybe it's just a case of finding it, but I'd kind of like to see Honeysuckle go just because it adds a bit of class. It wouldn't suit Benny, but I think Honeysuckle might get away with it. But I don't like I say 60-40. I think she'll probably still go mares. I know you're really keen on a mare that's in here.
Yeah, I just touch on the Honeysuckle quickly. I don't think she jumps well enough. I think she loses far too much ground at her hurdles for 2 miles. But yeah, I really like Everton. I really do. I mean, I know I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall with you, but look, she is unbeaten apart from one run at Cheltenham in the mares novice hurdle last year. All right, like look, she had the flu jabs were given as a reasonable excuse for that. I felt that's fine. She also had headgear on first time. No, horses in Class 1 races are 0 for 19 in headgear. Like, so that wasn't going to help anyway. She didn't jump right. She wasn't herself. It was just a completely different Epatante that we've seen this season to the one that ran there at Cheltenham. And I think she's got valid excuses for it. She's rapidly improving. You can't say that about many others in the race at all. I know people saying, oh, she's flat track this, flat track that. She's ran at Exeter. Exeter's a very undulating track with a stiff uphill finish all the way. And then I know what people are going to say, oh, well, she beat 115 rated horses. But she beat them very, very easily. Like these horses do have to go through this process of beating lesser opponents and running at these different tracks. You know, I just think she jumps spectacularly. She travels well. She's got a turn of foot. The race at Kempton, like I've heard so many people at the Christmas Hurdle, which is a great trial for Champion Hurdle.
Yeah.
I've heard loads of people trying to crab the form. How on earth can you crab the form? The Champion Hurdle second, or the Champion Hurdle third, Silver Straight. When did he finish second? When did he finish last year? Second.
He was third in the Champion Hurdle.
You know, he was there. I understand he was, you know, soft. The ground's not ideal for him, but the Champion Hurdle was soft. Like Ballyandy's come out and boosted the form next time. You know, Getaway Trump, Lucy Rafford, they couldn't live with her. She travelled extremely well, turned her foot, didn't even use the stick on her at all, quickened up lovely. Barry Gary went to the weighing room, said she's some tall. I just think she's such a progressive horse that we've not even seen the best of her yet. Now, you go through this field and tell me, bar Envoy Allen, who is a progressive horse in this field that you would rather be on than Epitome? And don't say any of them. But look, come on, look, I'm begging for someone to put me off put me off Epitome. Nothing to do. Don't worry about the price. 10-3, I think, is a fair enough price. About a wide open Champion Hurdle where the second favourite, who's 5-1, has failed to win a race this year and has been beaten by horses that the front runner in the market has already beaten, and that horse has to give her £7, and they're from the same stable, and he's quirky. And you're 5-1 about Pennington Hills. Like, exactly. Like, compare that to Epitome. You know, it's madness. I do. Honeysuckle is third in the market, may not run. Envoy Allen is fourth in the market, may not run. There's two horses in there that may not run. The next in the market is Sharjah, who is ground dependent, who had his ground at Leopardstown, has absolutely no excuse, is not improving. Like, you know, come on. Darva Star is next in at 16-1. We didn't even hear about this horse until 2 starts ago. He was unlucky not to get closer to Envoy Allen previously, then ran behind Honeysuckle, finished really strongly that day. But Honeysuckle, for me, is not a 2-miler. The way she jumped that last, she almost come to a standstill, and she still managed to beat these horses. You know, the only thing I do like about Darva Star is trained by Gavin Cromwell of last year's winner, Espadale. Then you're out to Fusi Raffles, who pulled up behind behind Epitome at Kempton, has missed another engagement because of the weather at Wincanton. And then we're at Super Sunday, was fourth in the Stayers Hurdle. Come on, man. Tell me how this don't win. Tell me.
The problem with me with Epitome more than anything is the price. She's one of them that this time of year, especially when we're talking about, like, I'd class this as short-term anti-pose. We're looking for a little bit of angle. We're looking for a bit of value. I said this at the beginning of the season after Epitome won. Well, say the beginning of the season after Epitome won the handicap hurdle. I was thinking it last season as well. When Honeysuckle missed Cheltenham, and then she went and won nicely in Ireland after that. I think we don't know how she'll handle Cheltenham, but let's assume that she handles Cheltenham. We could all be in strong agreement that Honeysuckle would have absolutely pissed the Mayor's Novice.
What? This ain't the Mayor's Novice, though, is it?
No, bear with me, but I think she would have done it. And last year, going into the Mayor's Novice, Epitome, Honeysuckle, it was one of those when people were in one camp or the other. It was a thing whether they were about 3-1 joint favourites around about that sort of time. Now, I'm adamant, given how well she's been, what she's done after, it's without doubt she would have won the Mayor's Novice Hurdle last year. And I know Epitome's got all the reasons and all that sort of stuff behind her to say that she wouldn't do it. And like I say, I'm still 60-40 that Honeysuckle will go there. And I wouldn't like to think that Honeysuckle would go and win a Champion Hurdle, given the fact that she'd run it 2.5 before. But she answered the question going left-handed. I know she was slow over the last. She rallied again. You do need a little bit of stamina for a Champion Hurdle, but it's just sort of in and out. It's just the price thing with it. If I knew Honeysuckle was going there, you can no bet. She's 5-1 top price. I'd rather be back in Honeysuckle than Epitome if the prices are if Honeysuckle's bigger every day of the week.
Right, okay, that's fair enough. I'm already on Honeysuckle at 14-1, so it doesn't matter. And I'm on Epitome at 27, so I'm happy there.
Exactly, but you're on Epitante at a big price, and you're looking at her at a 3-1 poke, thinking she's good, which she is. Like, you've done well to beat the price, all that sort of stuff. But Epitante, in my mind, regardless of it being a pish champion hurdle, should not be a shorter price than Honeysuckle.
I'm just about to go and have another 50 quid on that.
It's just shit price.
Okay, mate. I can see this cutting right up this race. I can see this race cutting right up, right? And what I can see is the horses that have big double figure prices, like Ballyhandy, who's 20-1, is going to go off at something like 8 or 9-1. You know, Corby Lord probably be in there, probably be a 14-1 shot, not a 33-1 shot. Silver Streak will be in there at 5 or 6-1 shot. You know what I mean? I think she shortens. I do think she shortens.
The thing is, Annie Powell, she won the champion hurdle. She was sent off 5-2. She was available 7-2 the morning of the champion hurdle. I know it's potentially a pish champion hurdle, but if she shortens any more, she's going to be going off the same price as Annie Powell went for a champion hurdle, a proven horse at Cheltenham. We know she's one of the best mares, all that sort of stuff. We don't often agree on too much stuff, but you are absolutely, you're wrong. She is not a good price.
Yeah, but you're comparing the different things. Put Annie Power into this field before she won her champion hurdle. Yeah, but the price, what I'm saying is, would be completely different because this race is much weaker. Her champion hurdle was a decent champion hurdle. That's why she went off at that price. Yeah. But if you put her into a weaker champion hurdle than we've got this year, like, tell me, right? If regardless of price, right? Let's play this out. Regardless of price, right? This is how the race lines up. Take out Honeysuckle and Envoy Allen that don't go. Let's say they don't go, yeah, right, and then you have the field up to Petit Mouchoir at 33-1. Forget the rest. That's what you've got in there, yeah. Who do you think, regardless of price for now, who do you think wins the race?
I would struggle to have a strong opinion. I'll be very similar in the camp of the Gold Cup. That I think there would be bits and pieces of form for a handful of runners where it wouldn't surprise me if they won it. Although I'd be disappointed if a few of them won it. I know this is a balmy one. Super Sunday will come on bundles for his run behind Honeysuckle. Yeah. He was 33s. He's obviously shortened up now. And I've mentioned it to you before, but there was a poster put up on the page where you could get 11-2. It was shortened up, so we got 4-1 Super Sunday to finish in the first 4. It was just at that point. That's where a lot of my money's gone. I'd rather be backing him 4 places at 4-1. Seems like a value thing. The tricky thing with Epitante at the price, right? If Honeysuckle doesn't come here, which, like I say, I'm 60-40 at the moment. If Honeysuckle doesn't come here, then her price probably ends up being about right. But I wouldn't be looking at it as a punting thing. I know you've backed Honeysuckle, so you're all right in terms of cover. But if Honeysuckle does come here, Honeysuckle goes off favourite for the champion hurdle. She'll get smashed.
Perhaps, but I really don't think she's going to come here.
I did feel exactly the same. But now the fact that Saudi is not running, Classical Dream's not running, it's just getting to a point now where if Willie Mullins gets to that sort of 6-day stage and Willie Mullins doesn't supplement anything, because God knows, he might even chuck Mellon back in here, mightn't he? Mellon's got a chance. I don't think anyone will get supplemented in it. I don't know. I reckon you'd have to be. The tricky thing is Kenneth Alexander that owns Honeysuckle. He just buys mares and he wants to build up this breeding operation of classy mares. So given the backstory of it's all about mares for him, in my head, I cannot understand why he would send her for a champion hurdle because of the fact that it's all about the mares. So I feel like even coming second in a mares hurdle for him.
Stop saying mares.
but that's the thing with I think with Kenneth Alexander, that's what makes me feel like they want to go more that way. I reckon if it was up to the trainer, it would 100% be going for a champion hurdle. But at this stage, given the slight unknown on that, and Envoy Land's definitely not going to come here. I do agree that you probably end up falling on Epitante, but I know you're in a different camp because she would be the one that you'd like anyway. I just think at the price she's pants. If we were sat here and she was an 8-1 or 10-1 poke, I would be getting very excited about her being a serious bet. You'd have to back her, but it's just one of them. Especially I do it loads with the graded races as the year goes out. There can be a horse in a race that I think will probably be the most likely winner of it, but I always price up what I think it should be in terms of a price, and Epitante is too short.
Why? Why has she done wrong?
She hasn't done enough to prove that she's good enough to win it. I know the Christmas hurdle's in there, but that was a pish Christmas hurdle. Fusel Raffles drifted like a barge, stunk, didn't it? They hammered Epatante that day. She hasn't got the Cheltenham form she kicked off. We don't know what she'll do this year, but I'm sure she'll be fine. The fact they had to reach for the hood in the first place has got to worry slightly.
Flu jab.
No, you don't put a hood on a horse because it's had a flu jab.
That's what I heard. They put headgear on because they was worried about her reaction, the way she was behaving.
Now, and this isn't a stat that I know, but I'm going to get someone to pull it out because I'd love to know the amount of champion hurdle horses that have worn headgear and then won the champion hurdle without it. Because I just feel there's enough about Epatante to not ring alarm bells, but enough to say, look, just don't get too excited. She might win it, and obviously if she wins it, it looks like it's a great prize. But I just feel like she's one of them that, like, don't get too excited at a short price about her. And I do think that 100 to 30 is short enough.
Only one winner of the champion hurdle in 33 runs has worn a hood.
Yeah, but I'd be interested in knowing horses that have won the champion hurdle that ever sported headgear before, not in the champion hurdle. Yeah, so I'm thing with it because like things like horses like Surname. So he used to wear a hood loads, didn't he? They took the hood off, wins like a beast. I know he's just a top one, bits and pieces like that. It's just the fact he reached for it in the first place. She's still young enough. I don't know. There's enough about her. I just think it's like sort of alarm bells about it. And the fact is, we are talking about her because it's maybe a weaker champion hurdle. I know you like her, and I know you've backed her at a bigger price. You've done well to do that. I couldn't. If like I say, if she was 8-1 plus now, I would be backing her. I'd be happy to back her. I just think she's a pish price.
I don't see what, like, everyone else is trying to pick up this champion and trying to find reasons for horses to win this race.
Yeah.
When winners sort of sat right in front of your eyes, like the progressive.
I think she is.
You're picking up on one run. That's all you're doing. You're picking up on one run.
Yeah, Chris Hurdle, that's all you've got.
No, I'm not. I think she was really impressive at Newbury. French Crusader. I think that form's not half bad. That form, in fact, is actually better than Fusel Raffles' form.
Yeah.
It's very similar with Beat the Judge, Kristen Wood and all that, and she's beaten much, much further. I think there's loads to like about. That was her first time out as well. She's then improved again. She improved massively to the next run at Kempton. Last year at Hancock, I was watching her. And at Kempton, I thought she was really decent. If you go back through that form alone, they were rated 115, 117 then. But that form at Exeter and Kempton has worked out really well. They've gone on to be rated 130 horses. Like, she's just progressive, mate. Because, look, this is the issue I've got, right? This is a race where you have to find the winner. Whereas normally every single year we've got stacked up Grade 1 form. We've got a pretty solid favourite at the head of the market. Do you want to take him on? Do you not? Well, I'd take him on each way, but I wouldn't take. You're more than confident that you've got that head of the market that is thing. And the difference is, I'm a half full glass kind of guy, right? Because this is great for me. I don't like having a solid 6-4 favourite that I can't take on. I like the fact you've got an unexposed horse at the head of the market. I love those sort of horses. And I love the fact that the whole field is wide open and I feel like I can pick apart everything they've done. And I can't do that with the favourite. Right, the only negative is, you can't really, can you? What can you pick apart from their form?
But it's the wit, like the form at Cheltenham is pants. The fact they had to reach for the hood is pants. She won a. It was. You know how much you're crabbing the likes of Fusel Raffles? It was a pish poor Christmas hurdle. If Willie Mullins Saudi obviously was injured. Willie Mullins used to send 14 over for the trial. If any of his horses had been firing, which we know they're not because they're not coming in here, but I don't know. And the thing is, like, as much as I poo-poo and all that sort of stuff, it was a Grade 1 win, and she was very, very impressive in there. But it's the handicap win again. She was like she won well there, and it was like a nice performance. But it just doesn't scream out as a champion hurdle winning performance. She might end up proving to be the one that wins there. I'm very much of the opinion in this race, though, if it was run 10 times, I genuinely think you wouldn't even be far off getting 10 different winners. I just think it just looks just trappy as anything. Whereas if I asked you the same question, you think Epatante wins 10 out of 10, didn't you?
100%. I really do. Honestly, I'm yet to be convinced by it. Look, I've asked people, tell me why she won't win. Like, they can't really tell me. All they keep saying is they don't look the price. Like you say, if she was 8-1 in this field, and I was saying all this, you'd be like, this is a banker. So, like,
I'll bank a bit. I'd be, yeah, but I'd be, I think
you
that's the thing.
yeah,
She's one of them that she'd like. I agree with the fact that when you're trying to pick something to oppose her with, I would be stuck on Honeysuckle would be the only one. I'd give Super Sunday a bit of the squeak. I would have given him a chance of winning it last year. Ended up being too competitive. They went for the wrong race, bits and pieces like that. He wouldn't surprise me if he won the race. I know 10-year-old and Super Sunday wouldn't
I said
surprise me if he won it.
It me either. I think he's got some of the most solid form in the book.
And then Curse Sublime, obviously, like Triumph run wasn't all that sort of. But they were talking about him being a decent horse. There was one good run of his. He just can't breathe. He's like the bald nonce, isn't he? I can't breathe. But they'll give him a little wind up, and he could potentially be a player. Bally Andy's form stacks up, but there's no way he's good enough to win it. He's one of them that's a placed horse at best. Silver Street won't win a champion hurdle. He'll be a placed horse at best as well. People are banging on about Petit Mouchoir. I can't have him winning it. Fusel Raffles has got. He's way too short a price, but a little bit of potential sort of about him. But he hasn't run around Cheltenham either. It's just one of them that I just think she's too short.
Honestly, I don't think she is. I think she's right. We'll argue about this all day long, but I think she's the right price. There are horses in here that are far too short. Pentland Hills being one of them. Regardless whether Pentland Hills wins this champion hurdle, on what he's done, there is no chance he's a 5-1 shot. There's no chance the likes of Super Sunday or Sharjah or people like that. There's not. He's built that price is built on promise. Do you know what I mean? On potential.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
I don't bet on potential promise. Exactly. I bet on.
And the beauty of this year's champion hurdle is last year I was bullish on Bouverdere about the poo-poo and all that sort of stuff. I was a bit, obviously it's horrible the fact that the ill-fated Espoir de Lan ended up winning it, because especially given how it's gone this year, Jesus, I said it last year after he won, he'll win the next 4 years, and obviously no longer with us, so you can't do anything about that. Bouverdere was obviously looking like he was potentially going to be the one, and then you just think, and they might still have been a weak enough champion hurdle. And I don't like to call them weak champion hurdles because it is a championship race. And like I say, something will come out and I think we'll win it nicely enough and we'll end up being wrong. It could well be Epatante that goes and wins it, but we will just go around the houses for it the whole time until the festival's run. I just, I feel like, I not feel sorry for you, but I'm just worried about your health, that you're like, you feel like she should be like a 2-1 Pope, didn't you?
No, look, I don't. I'm getting carried away. But it's more like I think she's the right price at 10-3. I think like around that, perhaps 4-1. I think she's a right favourite at 4-1. Okay, I get say that, right? But what I don't agree with is that Pentland Hill should be 5-1. If you take out Honeysuckle and then Boy Allen, right? Oh. Basically, what you're saying is you've got Epatante at 10-3, you've got Pentland Hills at 5-1. And then you've got Sharjah at 12-1. Like, that's not right. Like,
that's the thing. Envoy's definitely not going to come in. That's a fact. That's the only the little bit. I do think Honeysuckle will go the mares. I said the mares again. Like I said, the Alexander thing. They've hinted about it. They haven't confirmed all those bits and pieces. But if Honeysuckle did come into the champion hurdle, I'd back her every day of the week to back Epatante. She'd beat her over any trip. I think Honeysuckle is much better than Epatante. But she might not run it. That's my biggest worry about like a price sort of thing. If Honeysuckle doesn't come in and does go to the mares, Epatante 3-1, like I wouldn't be backing her, but I'd say, I wouldn't put people off of backing her. Just think it might be worth holding fire. But then if Honeysuckle doesn't go, even though they've hinted that she's not going to go, I just can't see Epatante getting much shorter, to be honest. It's one of them. She could easily go and win a champion hurdle, and I wouldn't be surprised if she did. But I think she could quite easily proper let herself down and run an absolute shocker.
She could, but so could any of them.
No, and I know that. And I know that any of them could. Like Pentland, obviously he's got the Cheltenham form, but he's just been a bit too pish this season, and it's just there's nothing really sexy about any of them to get a bit excited about, is there? There's no like real young progressive horse that's sort of gone under the radar that you look at, because Fusel Raffles would have fit that profile, but then he drifted for the Christmas hurdle, was pants, missed, like you say, Wincanton because the ground was too soft. Given the fact that it's raining so much now, the ground will probably be too bloody soft for him when it comes to the festival. So it is just hard to try and find something else in there. I'm quite pleased with the Super Sunday bet.
Do you feel that's what you're doing, though? Do you feel like you're trying to find something else other than Epatante?
No, I'm just trying to find the winner of the champion hurdle. Not just because I want to take on Epatante. I'm just trying to look through all of them. What's that?
That's a pretty hard.
That's it. I just go through like every single runner in here. I've got problems with. There would be no single horse in here that I would say, if my life depended on it. Do you know? I actually know that's what I'd do. I wouldn't even take a punt. If they said my life depends on it, I'd just say shoot me now. I don't want to watch it get beat.
But if like the way you're feeling about this race, it's like, is if you was to run through a race card at the weekend and you're going through the race, and this is one of the races that you would skip over.
Yeah.
Go, I don't know. I'm not backing something.
Absolutely.
The fact that it's at Cheltenham and it's a champion hurdle,
it
makes you feel like you're trying to find something, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's the beauty of a race like this. That I will look at it and I will just say, I haven't got the answer to it. I'm well chuffed with the Super Sunday bet because I've definitely found the answer there. He will be in the top 4. That was a poke, and he's another one that the wise guys on the scene they've already been tipping him up. They'll keep doing it. His price will collapse. But
Thomas Darby is really interesting. Thomas Darby is quite interesting. I don't know if they're going to go for this. Are they? Do you know any more than I do?
I don't know, but it's the last one in a handicap thing, isn't it? I can't remember what the stat is, but it's horses that have last one in a handicap that run in a non-handicap at Cheltenham. It's like 2 from 140 or something like that. So,
yeah.
And that puts me off. Whereas Epatante obviously has won a Grade 1 in between, so you can forget the fact that she ran a handicap before. But yeah, Thomas Darby could be a bit of it. And you think he finished lame as well in the Supreme last year. How much everyone was banging on about Classical Dream. Bouverdere reverted from her fences. But Thomas Darby was poor over his fences as well, wasn't he? Let's not forget that.
Yeah, he was very poor.
But again, it's one of them races you are bang on. If I was looking at this, I would keep looking at it because it's the champion hurdle, but I just want to skip it. I'd want to sit back and watch. I'm happy with the Super Sunday little line in there, but the whole point of different people's opinions are there, that you have got a stronger opinion on something. You like Epatante, and like you say, I couldn't confidently put anyone off of a lot of horses in it, but I couldn't make a strong enough case for any of them to say to someone, this is the one you need to back. The way you talk about Epatante is the way that you should talk about a horse that you fancy. So I hope that she does go and do the business, because it would be nice to think that she is the new kid on the block. She's going to be a star, because she potentially could be. Super Sunday's on his last legs. Honeysuckle's another one that could be the new kid on the block. I've seen
a lot of people tipping up Silver Street. Can you make heads or tails of that?
The thing, last year he was 80 to 1, right? And it was they said they were going to ride him for a place. Bouverdere fell. Sharjah was brought down, wasn't he? Lorena just travelled into the race, did bugger all. Applejade was just pissed. So the whole race completely collapsed for him to get a place. He was miles behind, but he was ridden for a place. This year, they're probably going to go into it thinking they've got a chance of winning the champion hurdle, which will be his undoing anyway. But I wouldn't. Given the fact of it, he has been third in the champion hurdle, you can sort of see it a little bit. But I wouldn't be entertaining him in the slightest. And he'll be ridden differently this year than he was last year, which will be to his detriment.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got absolutely no chance.
Nope. But we will find out on the Tuesday. So we need to just agree that we'll never talk about the champion hurdle until after it's done.
We have to on the preview night.
Oh, bollocks. Let's just pray that she stands up, because Bouverdere last year, after him going down so early on, I was like, I just felt cold inside. And I'd backed Espoir de Land as like the lively outside, and I'd backed him at a bigger price. But the worst feeling about when Bouverdere went down was, to be fair, Anthony Post punting, I like to back a few. I had the race sewn up. I had Bouverdere at prices, Applejade at prices, Lorena at price, well, 9 to 1, I think, and then Espoir de Land at a big price. Lorena was the one that broke me level. Applejade maybe a little bit of money. Bouverdere won a good amount, was probably the best winner. Espoir, just because he was a big price, did okay. But as soon as Bouverdere fell, I just thought, oh, for God's sake, Lorena's going to hack up, isn't she?
And you thought of me straight away, didn't you?
Yeah, and then she travelled into it so well, didn't she? She was on the top of the hill, and she still looked like she's with a winner. And the fact that she emptied and found nothing, it's just one of them that this, well, like, not saying comparing her to Epatante or anything like that. It could be any horse in the race. That's what's so good about a champion hurdle. How many horses do you see? The jockeys will sit there motionless. They look like they're cruising, and then they just find bugger all. It is a championship race. It is, for me, normally the race of the festival, the Champion Hurdle. It looks potentially on paper like it's a downgraded one, but let's make no mistake. Whatever wins a Champion Hurdle, you don't just win a Champion Hurdle by chance, do you? Whatever wins it deserves to win it. And I'd be very happy if Epatante won it, because she potentially could be one to go and win it years and years and years after. There's a few horses I wouldn't be so happy with them winning it, but it's one of them. It's a good race for like people or anyone with any sort of an opinion in it, because there's a couple you could try and put people off, but at the end of the day, you can't really say to anyone that definitely won't win. Well, there'll be a couple, but it's a nice race. People can get a bit more involved in it. The years where you get the short price 6-4 favourite you can't take on, they're the ones that you just feel sorry for your Joe Bloggs, your everyday that wants to have a tenner on a championship race.
Exactly. We should be rejoicing that we've got an open champion. Instead of calling it a champion, we should call it an open champion.
Absolutely. But one race that we don't have open, we've obviously talked about the mares. Benny will win regardless of whether Honeysuckle goes there or not. We don't really know who wins the champion. Well, I don't know who wins the Champion Hurdle. Daryl does. Stayers Hurdle. Emma Tom obviously ran today in the Rendlesham. I thought he was a bit of a prize. Warren Greatorex made a comment that he went really easy on him before they ran him at Cheltenham on that comeback run. He regrets doing that now. They've given him a lot more work. So he's been harder prepped for that particular race. But it is testing ground quite close to Cheltenham. He'll be one that a lot of people will be talking about at a bigger price. Paisley Park wins this hands down. One of those horses that last year we all talked about him. We all knew he'd be the winner of the Stayers Hurdle, but given the fact he was Emma Lavelle, all those bits and pieces, and he was sort of just proving it at that time, felt a bit like, oh, is he going to win it? Are we just trying to take him on because he's not the sexy trainer, all that sort of stuff? This year, things haven't particularly gone to plan. Newbury was a smaller field, better ground. Obviously, had to miss the race at Ascot, but he was so good in the Cleve Hurdle. At first glance, I thought, geez, he wasn't actually that quick from the back of the last flight. I thought maybe he's not quite as good as I first thought he was. And Somerville Boy obviously ran him so close, potentially will be coming on for that run again. But then I took a moment to watch it back. A few people calmed me down on the day saying, look, he's just one of those horses that doesn't do a lot in front. And I looked back at the Cleve Hurdle from the year before, and his pace from the final flight to the finish line was actually better this year. As far as I'm concerned, it was a standout performance. It was decent. So I was ready to poo-poo it a little bit, but he's a 4 to 6 shot, and I'm talking about him like he's a good thing. Doesn't really take much to think that, does it? Is there anything possibly, Daryl, that we should be thinking about as an each-way punt, looking for place angles, any of those bits and pieces that could lure us in? Or do you just sit back, rejoice, and watch Paisley Park win?
A little bit of both. I think you can play the each-way market here. Somerville Boy has got an outstanding chance, I feel, and I've never really liked the horse. I think getting to within 1.5 lengths of him in the Cleve Hurdle last time, I think that was actually a decent performance. Finished 4.5 lengths clear of Listening Oscar, but Somerville was a 10 to 1 shot each way. I definitely think he's going to follow him home, because in the Cleve Hurdle, he set the fractions out in front and they went a really, really slow gallop, and it was sort of stop, start. And I actually think Jonathan Burke did the horse injustice there. I think this is a strong stayer. I've always thought he wanted to step up and trip. And I think if he's buried in the field, similar to how they ran him in the Supreme, just tucked away, I think if they get a strong gallop, I think he's a proper stayer. And he jumps so much better now over this further distance. That's added massive amount to his game. I think he's one of the ones in here that's unexposed at 3 miles, and they had one start obviously last time. And I just think if he buries him away and lets him settle, I don't think he can win, but I definitely think he will come home a strong second. Everton obviously was interesting today. Much better performance today than his reappearance run at Cheltenham behind Somerville Boy in a real kill, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
He looks like he wants 4 miles to me. He just takes an age to get going, doesn't he? Yeah, I do like him. I think he's decent. I think when he ran behind Champ at Aintree last year, I think Champ underperformed a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, maybe. Emma Tom is a horse that I do quite like. The interesting thing with Somerville Boy especially, did a post with that Stephen from Architect Tips, and he put him up at a big price before he ran in the Cleve Hurdle, so that was a decent shout. I think more of that's the last horse to win the Real Q and then win the Stayers. Just chuck that in there for the sake of it. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. And he was good there and he got close. But I remember West Approach last year, although he was beaten 12 lengths by Paisley, got close enough to him to Ascot. And for me, he looked like he was the each-way play in the Stayers hurdle just because that form line tied in with Paisley. But the fact that Liz Nagar Oscar was so close in third and maybe Paisley just does what he needs to do in front, I'd be worried about Somerville Boy now, especially from like the each-way.
It was the way the race was run as opposed to the bare form of it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he'd done himself any favours by start galloping it and leaving.
No, I know, but I just think, given the prices that they are now, like Emma Tom's run is just so close to Cheltenham, which is the major worry. But if we do go back to that Real Kill, they both ran off a level weight. Emma Tom was 5-2 poke. Somerville Boy was a 10-1 poke. I know Somerville Boy went and won it, but Warren Greatorex said that he hardly trained him, all those bits and pieces, and he didn't jump very well, all that sort of stuff. Because it's so close, I mean, I wouldn't be doing it, but I feel like in a match bet between Somerville Boy and Emma Tom, I reckon Emma Tom will get the better of him this time. But it's the fact that it's so close to Cheltenham and the ill effects, you couldn't be confident with it. Cannot have City Island with anyone's money unless he's got sticking out of him. Penhill, I know he won it before and he's won an Albert Bartlett. He was so far behind Benny. He'd be one that, again, will probably be tipped up in a few places when I couldn't particularly be having him. Benny's won't be coming to the Stayers hurdle, although, I mean, if she did, then that would be worrying me a little bit about the boy. But, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I look at it and I just think you can get like a place-only bet and stuff because the horses probably aren't going to beat him. Like, I don't think Somerville Boy could beat Paisley. I don't think any of them can beat Paisley. And then from like a place angle, they could be in there. But, yeah, I just think Paisley hacks up. And I know quite a few people would have been keen on him earlier on in the season as well. And I think a few people would have got stuck into it at bigger prices. He'd be another one of those, though, that big bucks used to go off 6-4 on the day. You could get 7-4, 2-1 with some of the specials. You could just have whatever you'd lost on the first 2 days on him if you were in trouble with big bucks. You used to just pay it, didn't he? But Paisley Park now, the fact he's 4-6, even if there's price boosts, new account specials, stuff like that, he ain't going to be much more than even money or around about there. So I would probably think it's one to sit back and save him, maybe. I know it's boring, but
I do think if you're going to play this market or play this race, which I might do, I think you want to play it now whilst Benny Dejoux is in the market, because I don't think Benny Dejoux is going to come here.
No.
I think that's giving you a little, not much, but it's giving you a little bit of more of a price on Somerville Boy and Everton.
Absolutely.
They'll probably be around 6 and 7s, 5 and 6 maybe on the day, I would have thought, because I can't really see Lorena coming here either. Champ's not going to come here.
No.
Apple's Jade will, but and then you're out at 25-1. So they're definitely going to shorten up. And if you're going to play this market in terms of back and say each way, then I would be doing it now rather than waiting for the day, just waiting for the final declarations. Do you agree?
With that in mind, because I've never really been much of an each way player. I'm always of the mindset that if I don't think the horse is good enough to win it, then I can't be backing it. There'll be very few cases where if something's just a ridiculous price, I might back it each way, or I might go in the old place market. But given the fact that Paisley is so short, Ladbroke Corals have priced up the betting without Paisley market, so this would get your juices flowing. Benny Dejoux is 4-6. We know she's not going to come here, and I suspect this won't be a non-one and no bet market. Champ is 3-1 second favourite. He will not come here.
No.
So, of the horses that will come here, Somerville Boy is 4-1 without Paisley.
Fuck.
City Island is 5-1. The West End is 8-1. Lorena's 8. This obviously hasn't been updated after today. They had Emma Tom at 16-1 without Paisley before today. So maybe just check those prices that I've quoted on Somerville Boy, given the fact that it doesn't look like it's refreshed. But as it stands on here, you could get 4-1 Somerville Boy without Paisley. So that potentially could be a market to look at. If you were betting the place only aspect, now I know you'd get the extra position from it. You'd be looking at 2-1, if not short of some of those horses, I reckon, on the day. So potentially the without Paisley market could be interesting. You seem quite excited by that 4-1 Somerville, didn't you?
It's quite big, isn't it?
It looks it, doesn't it?
Well, considering you could look at this race right now and you could take a lot of the runners out there.
Yeah, it'd be worth checking on their websites, obviously, what the prices are now. I'll quickly just bang that up while we're here if I can get them up. Oh, no, do you know what? I won't. You can do it yourselves. But yeah, it hasn't been refreshed after today because Emma Tom's 16, but he wasn't that price. But that's the sort of thing with this sort of race. I'm well into Paisley at big prices from the beginning of the season. So I did the one earlier, didn't I? Paisley Park was 11-2 at the start of the season after winning the Stayers. My old man's got a good bet.
I know you're saying that you've got to get. It's got to be what 2-1 or 3-1 for them to even make it, isn't it? Well, perhaps not Paisley Park. That's not because
but that's it. But my old man's got an absolute stonker. I don't like doing multiples really, and I will do a few more when it gets nearer the festival. But he's got Altior 5s, Betty DG for the Mares at 5s, and Paisley Park 11-2.
No, he ain't.
Yeah, and he's got I think the fourth one of it might be Manila Indo for the RSA at 16 or something like that. But
that's out there.
Yeah, he's out, but he's still got enough to compete on the other three. But obviously, there was always risk attached with those long-term anti-post bets. Like I said, I think a few people will be on him. The betting without market could be the case for it. We will be doing a preview, as I mentioned in the first episode, at some point going through all the races again. We'll be able to skim through these ones probably a bit quicker given the fact that we've done it. But once we know more about where people are going, all those sort of stuff.
Once you stop arguing with me about Everton, it'll cut half of it. It'll cut half it out, won't it?
It will. 35 minutes of that was literally just us going at it about Everton. But there'll be handicap entries come out this week, so we'll find out about that on the 20th. They're 18th when it closes, so you'll see some markets suspended, things like that. Weights come out the following week, and then the week after, the 25th, it will be the declarations closed for the Mares Novice, the bumper, novelty races, stuff like that. And then a couple of days after it's announced. So we're a couple of weeks away from finding everything else about the festival. Then the festival will be on our doorstep, and it's right about happening. So just thought that, given the fact that these races have formed the shape that they need to form, we've just given you our 2 pence on it. You'll hear it again at another time. So thank you for watching. Any comments, any feedback, all that sort of stuff's welcomed. And yeah, we'll see you when we do some more bits. Thank you, Daryl.